One measure of assessing a public school's effectiveness when businesses come is that they look at the facilities. If they see a lot of modular units, that suggests to them that the community, is not putting their support in. There's no new building going on, but there are lots of modular units. So I will be pleased when the bond issue passes and we have a new building. Carver's our newest one, and it was built in, 63?
We've heard that, why not build a new high school at the mall? I think there are two parts. One, we talked about a new school regardless where it is. The dollars are beyond what this community has shown its ability and capacity to deal with. And so, no, we didn't look at a whole new school, regardless of its location, because of that commitment. And remember, we said, besides a new high school, we're talking about a whole list of other things that need to happen that are independent of the high school. And so when you do those and talk about a new high school, you talk about some dollar. And I think we'd give you back where we've been before. We don't get any of it done. This is a start. As far as the old mall site, physically right now that site's smaller than the high school. As far as the land, it's a 35-year-old building that has asbestos in it. It was a wonderful mall, but it's not designed to be a school. And so what it really has is a piece of land. And when you start looking at, yes, parking and all, but where do you put practice fields, where do you put PE fields, where do you put those sort of things? We actually have more room at the high school than that mall has. We've worked with an architect to help us just understand the dollars, not to do any design, because that'll be a process once the bond issue passes. But also with the work that's been going on at Carver, the district's been fairly deeply involved in cost and claims people. And so we've utilized their services also, because they deal in that every day. And the $170 a foot is the number that that our people felt was a doable number, and hopefully we can do for less. But I think it would be, again, irresponsible to throw out a number that we can't do and then come up at the end and say, oh, we can't do it for that.
We need more.
You might be interested in, as far as the new high school concept. I happen to spend a fair amount of time up in the south central part of Tennessee, and there's a county up there called Franklin County that 5 years ago built a new high school. And their district's similar to our size, and the high school is somewhat similar to our size. And I talked to the superintendent of that district just within the week, and they've just had their buildings reevaluated for insurance purposes, and they're talking about valuing it at $150 a square foot. Now, there's not a lot of difference between those two numbers, and we feel safe at the 170, and my hope is that we could do it for less, in which case we wouldn't have to borrow as much money.
Right.
There are no current plans, or even plans in the near future. We know that the $3 million for the small learning communities is not going to be enough to do what we want to do. However, there's lots of federal dollars available, so we will begin soon looking at grant money. But our board has no plans.
And remember that again, half of this bond issue has nothing to do with the high school.
Right.
Those are needs that people keep forgetting that, and those are needs that this community needs to address. The schools, in a way, don't own the buildings. The community owns the buildings. We just happen to be the managers of them. And so we've got to do that. There are no plans at this point to come back. Wouldn't it be fun that the bond issue passes so overwhelmingly, and people say, well, we ought to build a new school, that the community wants to do something? And I think the board would listen very closely to that. If we thought the community was that supportive, we certainly would like to work with that support.